even the plot is straight taken out of The Wasp Woman, a really horrible B movie that I'm surprised anybody remembers, and I'm pretty sure whoever wrote this kind of just ripped it off. Hello and welcome to Blockbuster Review. If you don't know what that is, it is where I play a single game of Tetris Marathon and try to review a film before the blocks reach the top, or until 150 lines. Spoilers are at line 50, and here we go. So the film Catwoman that came out in 2004 is a bad movie. It's a bad movie, sure. But what kind of bad is it? Because I like bad movies. I enjoy watching bad movies. I've always said, I haven't always said, I didn't come out of the womb saying it, but I always believe that every bad movie teaches you a little bit about why you like good movies. And Catwoman is an amazing watch, mostly because it's from an era where the superhero movie didn't become a template yet, but it still had the basic setup of like any action movie. And Catwoman has the extra layer of it being a woman who don't need no man and don't need no one telling her what to do. And it's weird because it's also bad. Like, it's one thing to make that movie where it's like, you know, women empowerment, female empowerment, wow, I just lost the word as I was about to say it. Feminism, oh my gosh, what's happening to my brain today? But it's weird when that movie is also just so incredibly bad. And it's not just like acting or even the plot. The plot is straight taken out of The Wasp Woman, a really horrible B movie that I'm surprised anybody remembers, and I'm pretty sure whoever wrote this kind of just ripped it off, where the villain is a woman who has developed a skin care thing that makes them de-age, but it also is addictive and turns you into an unstoppable monster. You know, that thing that's that makes total sense. And Catwoman is not Selena Kyle, it's Patience Phillips. It's pretty clear that there must have been some order given that this cannot take place in Gotham City. This cannot be Selena Kyle. And so it's this vague kind of New York City that we're in. And she is this artist who is also a graphic designer for a company that is run by the Merovingian from Matrix Reloaded, which I feel so bad for that dude. His name is Lambert Wilson, and I just feel so bad seeing him in anything because, dude, you were in that one scene about the cake that makes people have orgasms. Like, I don't understand why anyone's going to think of you differently. And maybe it's just because I'm a somewhat of a Matrix nerd who ironically hasn't seen Matrix with a new one. What is that one? Resurrections? I haven't seen that yet, but I did watch the original trilogy a handful of times, and man, I think that the Merovingian was the worst part of it. So to see him as the villain in this piece, you're like, ah, we're already at a negative, dude. No offense to you, but I feel bad saying it, but I just can't look away from what you did in the Matrix, and I'm spending way too much time on you. The movie's not about you. It's about Halle Berry's Patience Phillips, who is like a mousy, you know, shy, doesn't get involved, doesn't you know, doesn't like conflict, and then she discovers this horrible truth about her company and is then murdered for it. And the cats, much like the origin story of Catwoman in Batman Returns, gets resurrected by cats, but this has to do with like some weird since the time of the pharaohs cat curse thing, where you now have the powers of the Catwoman, which she wasn't always a hero, but she wasn't always a villain in history, and she's just always existed as this strong female trope throughout different points in history and does whatever she wants to. And this Catwoman wants to get to the bottom of this mystery and then, you know, take care of those responsible, but she's being framed for all these murders. And she's also falling in love with Benjamin Bratt, who I have not seen him in many things other than his character in Demolition Man. And kind of like the Merovingian, I only see him as that really wussy character from, I say wussy, he's ineffective and sad and weird in Demolition Man. So to see him as like, he's the detective. He's the detective that spends a lot of time just talking to women instead of going to work. And, you know, but what's weird, and you're thinking maybe, well, what about the action? The real mark of a movie like this is the action scenes, because if the action scenes are decent enough, that'll at least green light a sequel, and these action scenes are trash. And one of the reasons they're absolute trash is it seems like they filmed every action scene, which is pretty well choreographed, I would say, and call me insane. I kind of liked what they did with it, with this character that's very aerobatic. Wow, acrobatic. Whole thing is reflexes of a cat. Kind of has the heightened sense like Spider-Man, jumping all over the place and kicking ass. You know, it would seem like it's a no-brainer because the oh my gosh, the choreography is good. So what's the problem? The problem is it seems like they shot every action scene with like 5 different cameras, and their thought about making a good action movie is just switch between cameras every half second. So you just get a fucking headache watching it, because it's like your brain cannot establish where anything is for longer than a half second. So it honestly felt like the movie was going to give me a seizure, because I was just like, just slow down. It's not even that intense of an action scene, but because of what you've done, my brain hurts. And then they made an action scene out of them playing basketball, which was laughably weird and super strange, because she has superhuman powers at this basketball game, and everyone's just like, wow, she knows how to play basketball. No, regular basketball players don't do those things that she was doing. That's what superhumans do. But I digress. It's very weird action scenes. There's a very weird scene where she saves a child on a breaking Ferris wheel, which only solidified my fear of Ferris wheels. And when they get off the Ferris wheel, they just continue their date, and the guy's like, huh, you're not a super hunky cop. Oh, I guess he did see her defy all physics and logic playing the basketball game. But after saving a couple people on that Ferris wheel, you don't go like, hey, how do you do these things? Like the basketball game, maybe you give them one. It's kind of like a first date situation. You don't know them very well. You kind of want to get to know them. But what's up? Anyway, Catwoman, I think it's a hilarious one watch. It was on HBO Max when I watched it. I think it's worth a little bit of your time just for the hilarity of it all. Have a good one. Peace.